welcome to Denver Parks and Recreation at Home. My name is Sarah and welcome to Crafts for Everyone. Today we're going to go ahead and learn how to make these wonderful coffee filter tie-dye butterflies. They're great decorations, they're a good craft for all ages, and the best part about these is that not just everybody of all ages can make it, but you should be able to make these with pretty much basic items you can find at home. So it's a really cost-effective craft to just kind of bring the whole family together. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the steps on how to make this, and let's see if you have a good time. So the first thing that you're going to need is a coffee filter. Any size, it doesn't matter, small or big, that doesn't really make a difference. It just depends on how big your butterfly is going to be. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flatten out our coffee filter as flat as I can. And the next thing you're going to go ahead and you're just going to need some markers. They do not have to be very fancy. I just have some basic Crayola craft markers here. Honestly, you could probably even use dry erase markers or Sharpies, whatever you have on hand. The trick is you just want to make sure you have markers and not any other kind of coloring tool, because we're going to rely on the ink to run, and I'll show you what that means later. So this is always my favorite part, and this is usually the most fun part if you have a child at home. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to color the coffee filter. There is no rhyme or reason, and you don't have to color the whole thing, which that means that you can have white in between. So the best part is just to kind of go from the center and go out, maybe try to make a pattern. I like to kind of go ahead and move things with parallels. So if I'm coloring purple here, I'll put a purple here. Maybe I'll do 4 corners. This is also a really fun thing for someone who's around 2 to 3, because you can just give them a marker and just let them go crazy and really explore that creativity. So there is no wrong way to color this coffee filter. And the nice thing too is, if you see my pink here, it's kind of running out of ink. That's okay too. Try to get as much as you can, but I chose a drier marker on purpose because I want to show you that once we start doing our water effect on these, it won't even matter. So I'm going to go ahead, just fill it in. I'll show you what I have at the end so you can see what I mean about not needing to color the entire coffee filter. The only thing I'd recommend, parents, is to go ahead and just stay with your child if they're a little younger while they're doing this craft. One, just to make sure they don't get markers all over their hands and all over your furniture. But also, coffee filters, depending on what brand you have, they can be a little delicate. I have some sturdier ones here. It does not mean that you have to have very sturdy ones to enjoy the project, but I do know that sometimes my children get a little frustrated if they accidentally rip the coffee filter while they're coloring, and we don't want to have any tears. So it's good to kind of help them to teach them, because sometimes they might just go like this and the coffee filter is going to just spread everywhere. So teaching them to use one hand to hold it down, or if you want to help them, that's just a really good way to do it. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's the only thing I would suggest when it comes to really needing help. And I'm going to go ahead and just do blue on the outside here. I'm going to show you what I've done so you can see my different strokes, how there's lots of space. It's a little messy, but that's okay because that's what makes this fun. Perfect. So as you can see here, it's not rocket science. Look at that. Just squiggles, maybe some blurs. I have a star shape. Whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And even though there's white here, I kind of encourage that because it looked really cool at the end. So now that we've colored our coffee filter, all you need is a pan or a plate, or I'm just going to use just a regular plate here. Don't use a paper plate because we're going to pour water on here, so you are going to want to use something that's water resistant, okay? So I just have a regular cup of water, nothing fancy. I'm going to pour this. You don't want to make it too full, but you want to make sure that the water goes over the entire base. So you're probably looking at a centimeter of water. Perfect, because you don't want to have a big bowl. You want to have just a thin layer, kind of like when rainwater falls down. So now that I have my plate with water here, I'm simply just going to take my coffee filter and I'm going to let it land in my plate. I might push it down a little bit. Now, if your coffee filter is a little too big in the plate you picked, that's okay. What you could also do is just kind of move it around. Sometimes a baking pan is really good for this too. Now you do want to get it nice and wet, and that's why you don't want to fill up the bowl too much, because if it's too deep, the water, that's when your coffee filter might start to rip. So let's go ahead, be gentle. You'll definitely need help with this one because you don't want to rip the coffee filter, but you want to get it nice and soaked. You can even kind of tap it. See? A little bit of water will start running the ink. So then what I'm gonna go ahead and do is gently pull up my coffee filter. Let's look at that. It's like tie-dye. Now, the next part is always what you have to do. You have to wait. So I like to just rest them here on a cooking pan or something like that. Perfect. And we're gonna go ahead and let it dry. I'm not gonna make you wait to see what it looks like when it's dry because I have one right here. So I use a different color scheme on this one. Get that out of the way. So once it dries, the colors will become really vibrant. Look at that, we have some cool tie-dye marks right here, this drink. It's just a lot of fun. So you can have 1 coffee filter, 2 coffee filters, 4 coffee filters, it doesn't matter. As many wings as you want to give your butterfly, let your imagination run. You just want to keep in mind that the more coffee filters you have, the thicker the butterfly is going to be. I have here some pipe cleaners. You can use more than one. Honestly, you can just use one. And if this is something you don't have at home, which might be the one thing you're missing, you can get these at the dollar store, the grocery store. They shouldn't really break the bank, okay? I know sometimes too, if you don't really have the money, if you can get the twisty ties from bread or bagels from your home or something like that, it might not be the fuzzy little butterfly body you want, but it's just as fun. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do here, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just squish, 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 squish my center of my coffee filter with a little pinch here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my pipe cleaner, a little U shape, little V. We're just gonna go ahead and slide it on, just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and twist it a little bit. So go ahead and twist it, just like if you're closing a bag of bread. And I'm gonna twist the top, and I'm gonna go ahead, twist the bottom, and then I'm gonna go ahead and twist the top here. Twist, 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 perfect. Now, what I'm going to do is, before I fan out these wings, I have my little antenna right here for your butterfly. You can keep them straight, or when I have really long ones like this, sometimes they just end up longer. I like to curl them, give them a little personality, whatever you think your butterfly is going to be. Let's go ahead and get those antennae to match. So let's see here. I kind of like when they're crooked, I think it's cute. So we see that like a little V shape right there. So now that I have my coffee filter, I can just go ahead and start to fan it out, kind of like if you're making tissue paper flowers or even just folding a piece of computer paper to make a fan. Perfect. I always like to make sure the body's in the front so we can see it. And I'll show you because I'm working at it, so you can't see what I'm working on here. But then if I turn it around, we have a little coffee filter butterfly, flap, 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 flap. You can tape them on your window. You can go ahead and hang them in your playroom. You can have them dangling. You know, if you're a working parent, you can take these to work and decorate your cubicle, whatever you want. It's the same thing if you wanted to do 2 coffee filters. See how I have my butterfly here has 4 wings? Same thing, just squish them together, wrap it around. I decided to give tiny little antenna on this one. There is no right or wrong way to give your butterfly a body. The only thing you have to make sure is that the coffee filter is pinched in the center. After that, sky's the limit. So here's our craft. It's quick, it's easy, and most importantly, it's economic. One more reminder, you need coffee filters, pipe cleaners, magic markers, a plate that can have water in it, and some water. That's it. I hope you guys had a great time, and thanks for joining us today.